working, and and it wasn't, eyes get shining, but you get used to that. You see people nod politely with vacant eyes, and you can't really tell. So anyway, I'm glad you can actually hear. I'm supposed to talk about prudence tonight, and I want to start talking about prudence as a kind of knowledge. That's where we want to start. It's a kind of knowledge. Now, for a Dominican, in our unmoral theology tradition, really knowledge is what it's all about. We have kind of an intellectualist cast to our theology, but that's only a symptom of something else. We are persuaded that if we're going to describe heaven, if you really want to know what it is to talk about being happy, really happy, finally happy, incurably happy, what can make you incurably happy? That's what the moral life is all about, finding out what that is and getting there, you see. Getting to the thing that can make you finally and incurably happy. But what's that? Well, according to the Dominican tradition and also the Catholic Church, it's knowledge. Well, one's more important than the other, of course, but it's knowledge, you see. There's a kind of knowledge that is the source of bliss. But of course, it's not any kind of knowledge. Knowing how deep the Indian Ocean is won't do that for you. Philosophical insight won't do that for you. The only thing that will do that for you is real sight and knowledge into God himself. See? Now, other people think that it's mostly a matter of love, and we do think that love is an essential component of it, an overflow of it. But really, we think that it's knowledge itself, seeing. It's the act of seeing that dazzles you. You have to see something that will dazzle you, and in dazzling you, make you happy forever, with its inexhaustible light and peace and joy, see? And that's what we want. That's what we want, the vision of God, to see that. This may seem like an implausible claim that knowledge is what beatifies, but think about all the times that you've been really sad. Isn't it because you've come to know something that's horrible? You've come to know that someone you loved is gone, or you've come to know that your favorite team has lost again at the end of the season, or you've come to know that you have some terrible disease and it's going to require lots and lots of therapy to get over it. That's the kind of knowledge that can ruin your day, you see. But then there's another kind of knowledge that you get, you see, and it's the knowledge of it that thrills you. Someone has said finally they love you. And it's true. You can tell by the way they look. You can tell by the arch of the eyebrow, or the, I don't know how they figure these things out, the rate of breath, or the depth of the voice. I don't know. I have no idea how you can really tell these things, but you can. You know what I mean? You can tell when someone's on the level. When they tell you something like that, I love you, and you can sometimes really tell when they mean it. And when you do, and if it matters to you, and you have kind of a reciprocal love, the knowledge that somebody out there really loves you is the kind of knowledge that can fill you up, see? Now, some kinds of knowledge are incurable in their sorrow, nearly incurable. If you've known you've done something really terrible, and you know that, it takes a lot to heal that. Great faith in the forgiveness and mercy of God. But if you know something wonderful, and you see the wonderful thing that you know, namely God himself, and that he loves you, not only are you happy, you're incurably happy. And that's what we go for. There is a sight of something beautiful that renders you forever beautiful. There is a sight of something loving that makes you forever in love. And that's the vision of God. And it's endless. And that's what we look for. All right, that's the highest form of knowledge. But then, when we want to know things, and we think that in knowledge is beatitude. But there are different kinds of knowledge. There are some things we just want to know for their own sake. And this is short of the vision of God, but there are some things we just want to know. If you're an astronomer, you might just want to know how many billions of galaxies there are out there. And you'd think it was odd, I would imagine, if somebody came up to you, as if you're the astronomer and you've got the telescope and you're identifying how many billions of galaxies are out there. And then you say, I believe that there are 1,700 billion galaxies. I've worked it out. And you'd think it was odd if somebody came up to you and said, yes, but what are you going to do about it? Right? 17 billion galaxies out there. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're not supposed to do anything about it. You're supposed just to know it and enjoy it, right? The fact that you know it is good enough. You can't do anything with it. You're just happy to know it. And everything you do in astronomy is geared to knowing that thing, and the knowledge is for its own sake. But there's another kind of knowledge that you want as a human being for your own fulfillment, which is about the knowledge of getting things done. See? There's a knowledge that you need to have if you're going to act on something. So, in some cases we want to know for its own sake, in other cases we want to know for the sake of getting something done. And prudence really is the kind of knowledge, if we're to come down to my subject tonight, prudence is the kind of knowledge that gets things done. Okay? So I want to talk a little bit about that. First thing I want to say about that is there's a distinction between, in Aristotelian philosophy, between making and doing. And when we're talking about prudence, we're talking about doing, first of all, and maybe making second. Now, the differences between making and doing is this. When you do something, the effect of what you do is in you. See? You've carved yourself. See? Whereas when you make something, the effect of what you make is in the thing made. See? So the difference between doing and making is where the effect of it is. In doing, it's in you, and in making, it's the thing made. Now, Father David over there is he's got many, many great gifts. One of them is he's a terrific carpenter. And if you are idle on a summer afternoon or winter afternoon, you are not safe if you are around him, because he will come in with a plank of wood and a saw and something like that, and he will get busy and create before your very eyes a table, a chair, something that is beautiful and useful and neat, right? He'll do that. Now, is he making or is he doing? Well, it's both, really. See, I mean, he's making the chair, so the effect is in the chair. But he's also doing something, and the doing, the effect is in him. What's the effect in him? Well, it's making him, if he's diligent about care for material things, doing that has made him even more diligent. See, or if he's conscientious in doing stuff, if he's conscientious and he does that table conscientiously, he is now a more conscientious man. See? So if I fool around with bank accounts, the effect might be, and I do it dishonestly, there's one effect, which is my own bank account has just shot way up. But there's another effect in me, which is now I am more dishonest. And if I did this out of greed or fear, I'm afraid, I can't face poverty. The only way I can keep my head above water is to cheat. By doing that, I've just made myself a little more fearful, see? And a little less willing to tell the truth, and a little less courageous in facing truth. See, I'm different. When I do something, I'm different after I do it. And those effects, even if they're not very dramatic in any given moment, those effects cumulatively carve not wood, but you, see? So when I say prudence is about doing, it's really about doing rather than about making. It's about getting something done, but basically in your own person. See? Now this is important. Why? Why does this matter? Well, it matters because if you have this clear in your mind, you're straight away protected against certain pernicious ethical theories like consequentialism or utilitarianism. Do you have philosophy? You know what this is about? Okay. Utilitarianism basically is a moral philosophy that says that what counts is not your intention in doing something. What counts is the concrete physical results of your action. The intentions that you bring to something doesn't really matter. What really matters is the bottom line, what you get done. But you see, if you can make your own distinction between making and doing, then you can see that the point of ethical action, or moral action, is only secondarily in the world that we shape. The primary effect is in you and in your own soul, you see. So it makes perfect sense, if you see it that way, that you might have an opportunity to commit murder, and in committing murder you might inherit your uncle's rich estate. You know, he might be living on uselessly attached to a tube somewhere, and here all that money could be used to your good effect. And, you know, I'm sure you use the money to save the world and all the rest of that. So you think you need the money, and he doesn't. He's just in a vegetative state. So you come along and you think, well, I'm going to change the world for the better. I'm going to improve my financial situation. So you make an effect on the world, and you make things better, so to speak. And maybe the healthcare system now has got one less person taking up resources, right? Things are financially better off for you and for the state and for everybody else. Okay. So as far as you can tell, all the results are positive. So why not do it? I'll tell you why not do it. You shouldn't do it because that makes you a murderer. See? And the effect is hideous in your own person. See? No matter what the external results of an action are, an action can make you, shape you, give you your identity. And this is terribly important, you see, because you're going to have to live with your identity. Your identity is partly plastic. Part of it is given by God as a primordial gift. Part of it is your own making. And the thing about this is it's very important because you have to remember that you're going to have to live with the face that you carve. See what I mean? You are really going to have to live with the effects of your actions on your own soul. The way you make yourself in your own actions is what's going to last forever and ever and ever. The effects will change. I mean, by moving money around illicitly in stock accounts, you might improve the world and you might make yourself richer, but that effect lasts until next year. The effect of your own choices, of your own doings rather than your own makings, that can last for an eternity. And will, unless if it's a bad choice. Yeah, turn aside. See that? See what I mean? Okay. Now I want to talk about something else. So prudence is about doing rather than making. Now, one of the difficulties of prudence, the art, I think you should say that prudence really is more of an art than a science. It's maybe the art of moral decision making. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because a prudential choice is something different from a choice that comes from making a recipe. Let's say, do I know anything about cooking? No, I'm completely hopeless in the kitchen. So, if you were to set me in front of utensils and a steak and some vegetables and so on, I could probably do something with it decent if I had a cookbook. And a cookbook that began, listen, dummy, see this thing here? It's called a knife. You pick it up and you cut it this way, and then a nice, clear picture. So if you paint a picture for me, and you tell me exactly what to do, step by step, I could maybe do it, and put it into the oven for, not more than 45 minutes, etc. I could probably come up with something that was edible, maybe, arguable, but it's possible. But see, a moral choice isn't really like that. A lot of people want security and moral rules, and they think that if they just follow the rules, they'll be safe. But that's not really true, because real life is a lot more complicated than following a recipe. And whenever you come down to concrete situations that you're involved in, they are always more complicated than a simple set of rules will help you. Do you see what I mean? Now, the rules you get will be reliable, and they'll be helpful. And if you break them, you'll break them to your sorrow. The Ten Commandments would follow along those lines. It's never prudent to commit adultery, for example, or commit murder. There's just some things that are off the table, right? You know right away that could never be a prudent choice. But most of life isn't like that. Most life isn't like the question, should I take a gun and shoot someone and rob them? That's not the problem. The problem is more likely to turn up this way. You're at your family's Thanksgiving dinner. Your grandfather has died recently. Your father was endearing, and your grandfather was endearing in so many ways, and yet he had this annoying/amusing character trait. Whenever the sporting event came on, he would insist on singing along in full-throated voice the Star-Spangled Banner. He would go, "Oh, say, can you see?" When the TV would go on, everyone would say, "Grandpa, come on, cut that out. That's embarrassing. Stop it." But no, this is my country song. I want to sing it. "Oh, say, can you see?" So he sings it along. And so he dies, and they have a funeral. And now you're gathered at the grandmother's home for the first Thanksgiving. Now, it's depressing because everybody's missing him. Okay? See the situation? It's sad. Everybody's missing him. Everybody's kind of eating their dressing and turkey slowly, and so there's a kid there, a young adult, somebody your age, and you're thinking, I gotta lighten this place up. This is sad. So, what do? The thought crosses your mind. I think I'll introduce Thanksgiving prayer with, "Oh, say, can you see?" I'm going to make fun of my grandfather. I'll make fun of the way he used to sing the national anthem. Should you do that? Well, tell me the rule book that will guide you there. There isn't one, see? There isn't one. Because it might be a good thing to do, or it might be a dumb thing to do, How sad is your grandmother right now? How much of a sense of humor did she have? How good a mimic are you? That might make a difference. I mean, if you can pull that off, maybe if you could make your grandmother laugh. If you're a good mimic, you could pull it off, make her laugh, and then that really might lighten the atmosphere. So, you do it. "Oh, say, can you see?" And your grandmother goes, she sputters her wine, see? And then she looks at you and you say, "You awful man." But there's a smile on her face, you see? And everyone laughs, and you've lightened the atmosphere. It was a good, prudent choice. Make a joke, make fun of Grandpa's song. But it could go really south really fast. You go, if you're not a good mimic, and your grandmother doesn't have much of a sense of humor anyway, and she, you and her have never gotten along all that great, and if you do that, and you go, "Oh, say, can you see?" What happens then? She goes, "Wah!" Gets up and leaves, right? She leaves the room, she cries, she leaves Thanksgiving dinner. She doesn't speak to you again. She leaves you out in the world. Most imprudent choice. See, now I think most moral choices we have to make are more like that than they are, should I rob somebody? Most of us know we don't rob somebody, that's off the table, but most of us run into a lot of situations where we just don't know. And there isn't any rule, there isn't any commandment. So far as I know, there's no commandment that says, "Thou shalt never sing, oh say, can you see?" at your grandmother's first Thanksgiving dinner after your grandfather's death. That's a little too detailed, see? Commandments don't cover all of that. So that's prudence, you see. How do you act in these situations where they are so particular, so concrete, so determined by local circumstance as to defy general rulemaking? See, that's the realm of prudence. Now, because it is so geared in particular, there aren't going to be any infallible rules that are going to guide you here. But there are some sources of good choices and some sources of bad choices. So if you become this kind of person, you have a better chance of making good choices. One of the big factors that go into making a prudent person is memory. Just, recalling what happened. I mean, to take grandmother and the Star-Spangled Banner again. Let's say you're at the second Thanksgiving dinner after Grandpa died. Okay, it didn't go over well the first time. She ran from the room and she's barely speaking to you see. But she is speaking to you now, and now you come to the second Thanksgiving dinner without Grandpa. should you sing the Star Spangled Banner? The answer is no. But if you don't have a memory, you remember how this played out last time? The answer is, if you have a bad memory, you're going to make a bad choice. You don't learn from your past experience, you see. And there are a lot of people, it's amazing how many people there are who don't learn anything from what happened to them. Amazing how many people there are who don't learn anything from what happened last year or the year before. Now some of that, sometimes that has, there's a reason for that. I mean, a deeply personal reason. You have somebody who comes in, Father, I want to talk to you. Okay, what do you want to talk about? I want to get married. In love, I want to be married. Oh, that's wonderful. Come into my office. So they come into your office. Okay, have you, and this is what every pastor asks with fear and trembling, have you ever been married before? See, you ought to ask that question because if you have, you've got a heck of a lot of paperwork you have to do now. See, my sister got married when she was 40-some years old, 45 I think, it was late. At their wedding reception, they got her and her husband out in wheelchairs and pretended to have them dance together, just to kind of make the point. Anyway, so she did marry late. What was I going to tell you about that before? Oh yeah, she came into Charlie Farrell, one of our own pastors, and said, Father, with her fiance, he's older than she was. He was 47, she was 44. So he looks at her and he says, have you been married before? And she says, no, Father, I've never been married. He said, what? Really? So he wipes his head full of relief. Then he turns to him, dreading the worst. And you, sir, have you ever been married before? And he says, no, I haven't. He said, really? And he lightened up and got very happy because he knew the paperwork was not going to be complicated. He knew that he was going to have an easy wedding to do, and so he was very friendly from that point on. Anyway, but this guy, the pastor, the woman comes in and says, I want to be married. And he says, okay, have you been married before? And she says, yes, Father, twice. He says, oh, yeah, okay. Well, what happened with the first marriage? Well, Father, he kind of abused me. I mean, it was a tough marriage, and he just beat me, frankly. That's what he did. I see. And so what happened? Well, I got an annulment. Okay, good. So that's not a legal impediment or canonical impediment? No. Okay. Second husband. Well, Father, I have to say, he beat me too. And so we had to get an annulment, and the church gave us the annulment. So that's 2 annulments. Can you tell me anything about the guy you married, the guys who married? Well, I don't know, Father, what were they like? Well, they each had a tattoo of a golden eagle on their left shoulder. It's kind of an interesting coincidence. They both had a tattoo of a golden eagle on their left shoulder. Huh. Does that remind you of anything? So eventually it comes out, well, you know what? My father also had a golden eagle tattooed on his left shoulder. And I suppose, yes, he beat me too. You see? So what's going on? Well, what's going on is that she's reliving the traumatic memory of these abusive husbands. The abusive husbands remind them of her abusive father. See? They remind her of her abusive father, and what she's doing, although she doesn't know it, what she's doing is she is trying to revisit the site of a trauma to fix it. Basically, what she's trying to do is find her father again and ask him, why do you beat me? I don't deserve this. You see? What she's trying to do is to revisit the site of the original abuse and heal it. But she doesn't know that. Why doesn't she know that? Because she doesn't have access to those memories. Because the trauma has blocked it. You see what I mean? She can't really remember what happened to her. And because she can't remember what happened to her, she can't really use the knowledge of what happened to her to guide her future conduct. That's why she keeps marrying guys who beat her, who have golden eagle tattoos on their left shoulder, you see. Without memory is a funny thing. When you mess up your memory, or trauma messes up your memory, you're trapped in a cycle where you repeat the same mistakes again and again. Anyway, that's knowledge of the past. That's what you need to make good memories, both on an individual level and on a social, political level too, because societies can be impinged on traumatic memories as well. But then you have to have knowledge of not just the past, but the present. And a couple of things that go into this. One of the things that you need to have good knowledge of the present is a basic grasp of fundamental principles. I said that prudence is not a rule book kind of ethics. In other words, there isn't any one formula that will cover every situation. But there are some basic things, you see, basic insight that you need in order to function. One of them is just to take justice. One of the things about justice, the definition of it as a virtue, is that it is regard for the rights of the other. The other underscored as other. Charity is about you as another self to me. Charity is about friendship, and friendship is about having somebody else as another self. But with justice, you have relationships with the other person precisely as different from you, not you. See? And this is what would get. Now, do you get that? I mean, it's very simple, isn't it? There are other people in the world. They're different from me. They don't automatically want what I want. See? Now that's simple. That's so simple and imbecilically easy. You would think nobody could miss it, but people do. Precisely because it's so simple, you can skip it. Precisely because it's so obvious, you may not think about it. You can overpass it. But what you need for prudence is not just a theoretical grasp of other people are different and have their own rights. What you need is a living knowledge of them. You see, it has to be a living principle. You automatically, you know that somebody else is different. So even if you're married and are very close, even if you are close as husband and wife, you still know that my wife is not just an extension of my own ego, or my husband is not just an extension of my needs, and my children are not just reflections of my own ambitions. They're different. They're going to go their own way. They should go their own way. See? That's simple, but you'd be amazed at how many parents don't know it. See? Now, that's what I'm talking about. There are several basic principles like that that are easy to get hold of intellectually and very easy to forget practically. So you have to have insight into basic principles. Secondly, you have to be fundamentally teachable. Docile is the word. That just means you have to be willing to listen to other people. There are people who are pig-headed and stubborn. You know, some people have a primordial need to be right. And if you have a fundamental need to be right and always to be seen to be right, if you always have to look like the smartest man in the room, you're going to be stupid. You're going to make bad choices. See? I knew a guy, a classmate, years ago, went down south, a priest down there, a holy man, a good priest, but he was stubborn, preternaturally stubborn, as if by a gift of the Holy Spirit stubborn. I mean, you simply could not talk to him. So he's down in New Orleans, and he's the first young priest, and he's hearing confessions. And people in New Orleans like the privacy. You know what I mean? They don't want to go to Father face to face. They don't think that meeting you face to face is going to be the life-changing experience that you apparently think it is going to be. You know what I mean? So, anyway, he says, oh, Father, I have to meet these people face to face. He's talking to the pastor. Father, I have to meet these people face to face so that they can see the Christ in me, you see? The Christ in me cries out to meet the Christ in them, and I want our encounter to be not just sacramental, but human. And he says, get over yourself. Cut it out. These people don't like that. They want to go to confession, they want to get absolved, forget it. Well, the pastor goes away. Now, this guy doesn't listen, so what he does is he calls up a contracting crew, and he starts to redesign the confessional. He starts banging away with hammers and nails and stuff like that. And anyway, just so that the people would be forced to have the benefit of the face-to-face encounter with the confession. Well, the people all went up into a revolt. Confession, the collections dropped drastically, 90%. People went to other parishes. And naturally this didn't go over well. The pastor had a few words to say upon his return. See, that's what happens when you can't listen. But you also have to be able, now this is obvious, again, this is all very obvious, you also have to be willing to learn on your own. You have to have a certain independence of mind to be proved. There is such a thing as becoming kind of a walking cow, or a talking cow. There is such a thing as just following other people's directions so completely that you lose the courage of your own insight, you see. And that can happen, as in very religious, strict observance monastic communities where the abbot makes all the rules, or, and you follow strictly, that can happen to you. In other words, there's a kind of childish docility which you want to avoid as well. So you have to be willing to be able to learn on your own, and you have to be willing to learn from other people. Now, there's stuff about the future that you need to know. One is simply how to figure out that there are three areas that I want to talk about briefly. There's an element of taking counsel, and there's an element of judgment, where you decide what is the best thing to do. And then there's execution. Now, let's talk about each of these. The counsel I don't need to talk too much about. Here you have docility, and here you have shrewdness. You need both, okay? You need to be willing to learn and be willing to innovate. Secondly, you need judgment, and I would call this common sense. Not everybody has it. And it's interesting that people can be very good at doing the research in a question. They can take all the advice they need, and they can research their options thoroughly. And they're well advised. They've thought about all the different ramifications. But then when it comes down to the actual choice, they blow it. The judgment, the actual common sense judgment is off. Now this is strange. Again, you can see this, we're good at this, Dominicans are good at this with real estate. We have a tradition of investigating thoroughly different options on the market, But I think it's God's way of keeping us poor. Our luck is bad, and generally, if we're going to bet on the stock, if you know what we're going to do on the stock market, you do well to bet the other way. There's a gift for making the right practical decision, judgment, and there's a gift for getting it wrong, and that's a gift of common sense, you see. That's for ordinary situations, and then there's a gift of judgment in extraordinary situations, where you're really faced with odd things, unprecedented things, and there is, again, a gift for getting that right. It's a gift of judgment. So you need the gift of counsel, where you take in all your information. You need the gift of judgment, where you find the right thing to do amidst the different possibilities. And then you need follow through, which is command. And you'd be amazed at how many people are good at doing all their research and putting all their ducks in a row and thinking things through. You'd be amazed how many people decide finally what the right thing to do is. Their judgment is good about what concrete thing they should follow. But then when it comes to execution, it falls apart. They don't do it. See? They call that inconstancy, you see. There are a lot of people who they go to the doctor and he looks at you and he says, well, you need to go on a diet. And I say, all right, I see that. Your cholesterol's way high, and your waistline's too wide, and your heartbeat. I get it, doc. I get it. I'm on a doctor. I'm on a diet. Wait, you really need to go on a diet? Okay. So then you consult the books, and you consult Dr. Atkins, and you get your books lined up, and then the time comes for you to begin your diet, and then you say, I'll begin this diet much more forcefully if I started on Sunday, the Lord's Day. See? You don't do it on Friday, you do it on Sunday, and then Sunday comes, and you say, well, maybe I'll do it on Tuesday. See, there's a lack of follow-through which can undo any prudent decision as well. So you need good research, you need good insight into judgment as you do, and you need courage and follow through. Those are three basic elements. You also need, I think, a sense of appropriate circumstances, because circumstances change things. Ordinarily, a good plan of action may fall apart because of accidental features. You know, something that might be unimportant could make all the difference. You know? Something that could be unimportant in itself might make all the decision. Should I go, or should I stay? You know? You're an enemy agent in a foreign country. You know? You're reading the signs. Should I come to this restaurant and pick up my packet or go? There's a circumstance. The person you're looking for looks pale with fear. Looks pale. That's enough. That's enough. That circumstance is enough to draw you away. And you were right, you see. Paying attention to your intuition makes a great deal of difference. Letting intuition guide your assessment of circumstances makes a big difference. And then finally, you have to have a healthy respect for evil, or a healthy respect for Murphy's Law, I guess you could call it. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, or could possibly go wrong. There are no guarantees in this life for good outcomes, so that every situation has the possibility of derailing, and you have to be sensitive to that. In other words, that you shouldn't really believe that once you have all your ducks in a row, things are going to go smoothly. They might. They might. Okay, done? Okay, wrap it up. Okay. One other thing. One other point. And that is that the gift of prudence is completed by the gift of counsel, the gift of the Holy Spirit that guides you. As I said, moral life is about particulars, not universals, and getting the right decision is sometimes too important to be left entirely to our own devices. So in the matter of vocation or life choice, you always want to leave room for the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to guide you. Sometimes, by a gift of God, you will just know what the right thing to do is. And that gift is more likely to come the more crucial the situation is, and the more open you are in prayer for inspiration. So I think